G'day everybody, Pooliptico here. And today I've got for you just a bit of a story. You know, it's not a gaming video or anything. I was going to do a bit of gaming with it, but I feel that it's a pretty serious subject. So, well, not serious. I just feel that I want to completely get out all the details and stuff about the time that my heart stopped. You know, it was definitely a life-changing experience when it happened because it was terrifying. So, you know, just to start that off, you know, I'd say be healthy and everything, which you should, but I figured that, you know, why don't we have a beer together or a drink or a wine or a glass? I'm having a beer, but, you know, go and grab a beer, go and grab something and just, I don't know, listen to me talk crap and listen to me just tell this story because it's going to be pretty long because I don't want to forget about any details or anything like that. You know, I'm going to try and touch on every subject that I can about it. I might leave some points out because it happened, I don't know, freaking hell, 4 years ago or something like that. But yeah, let's have a beer together. Let's have a drink. Let's eat some food, eat something just to prove it's a beer because some people will be like, you pissed in a bottle and drank it. Can fucking assure you I didn't, but I'll try and, there we go, little, oh, nice. All right, so I have to have a swig before we start because, you know, that will help me get along. Great Northern Original. Beautiful stuff. Okay, so I've got a few notes here, so if you find me looking away bits, because I'm reading me notes to make sure I touch on everything I possibly can about this day, because as I said, it was one of the most, I remember it vividly, everything about it. So, get ready. All right, so don't remember what day it was. Actually, yes, I do. It was a Thursday night, okay? So what happened was I was going through a bit of a rough patch in life. I was feeling a bit down, you know, feeling like I wasn't getting anywhere, and you know, I was in a really bad place. I felt like I didn't really have any friends. I didn't have a girlfriend at the time. I hadn't had a girlfriend for a very long time, for I don't know, maybe 4 years by then or something. So I was feeling a bit, you know, it's just not great about myself. I was in a bit of a dead end job. I was just on a vineyard I was at the bottom of the feeding order. I was just a tractor driver. So, you know, I was nothing special. You know, I was just in I wasn't, I probably wouldn't say I was depressed. I just wasn't happy with how things were going. So, silly me, I decided to buy weed, and let me just adjust this. And just a bit of backstory. I can go into this later if you want to hear about it. When I was in my early teens, so I would have been, when this happened, I would have been 19. I'm turning 24, so about 4 or 5 years ago. I was pretty heavily into the drugs when I was a teenager, so mid-teens, 15, 16, 17, you know, about that age, I was doing a lot of different drugs and smoking a lot of weed and I tried a lot of other shit. And I had a lot of bad experiences on drugs and stuff, and I actually later found out why. But you know, so I had quit weed for 2 years, and then I decided, you know, screw it. I'm feeling down, which you should never feel like this. You should never resort to drugs, and I shouldn't have. And nor will I ever be able to. Nor would I ever again. Nor would I ever be able to again, because as you'll find out. Yeah. So I'm just gonna take another swig because I like my beer. I forgot where I was up to. Oh yeah, I was going through a bad bad time. So I decided, I'm going to buy some weed. So I bought some, came home, and that night, that afternoon, I got home at about 4:30. My mum left to go down Adelaide to work at about 5. My dad was working, so I was all alone at home. And I decided, I'm going to have a few pipes. So I had two full pipes of weed, and then I felt good for, I don't know, maybe about 5 minutes, and then something just hit me like a wave. Like it just smacked me. I don't know. I was just sitting there. I was like, you're high. So I was feeling kind of good. And then my heart just was like, and I was like, holy crap. And I started to not feel very good. I was like, really worried, because I thought I used to get panic attacks when I was on the drugs, which I later found out that it actually wasn't. But I thought I was just having a panic attack. So I was just like, just trying to breathe, stay calm, and it would not go away no matter how hard I tried. And it came on so suddenly. Like other times when I had a panic attack, I thought about it, and I was like, I kind of feel not very good. Oh, and then it came on. But this was just like I was sitting there feeling pretty good, and then it was just boom, instant, and I was just like, I was out of breath. My heart was like, I could look down and physically see my chest pumping. Like I could see my heart pumping so hard and so fast, it was moving my chest. So after about, I don't know, probably 10 minutes of me trying to calm myself down, and then realizing like, fuck, this isn't a panic attack. I've never experienced anything like this before. I was like, I should probably call the ambulance, but I don't know what went through my head. I was like, nah, I'm gonna drive in. I'm driving in. So I hopped in my Hyundai XL, and my driveway's about kilometre and a half long, big long dirt road. I was flying up up all the bumps, because I was like, I need to get to the hospital now, like right now. And as I was coming into town, because I have to cross a ferry to get across the river where I live, and my dad was working on the ferry at the time as well. So as I was coming into town, I was sort of like, I was out of it, completely out of it, high as, and I was panicking, and I was like, really, really worried. And when I was coming into town, I didn't realize, this is kind of it's not funny when I think about it now. Well, it's not really funny, but it's kind of fun. I don't know. When I was coming into town, I didn't realize I had my Hyundai just in second gear, because it was a bloody, it was an auto, and I just had my foot flat. And as I was coming into town, I was blacking out at the wheel. You know how sometimes when you're tired and you're like, ugh, you're not off. It was like that, but I wasn't tired. I was like awake, and then like just doing this, and then up and down. Like it wasn't that quickly. It was only every now and then. Like I was like driving along, and then it'd be like, and I sort of felt like really just light, and then I'd like do the old and wake up, keep driving, and my poor Hyundai XL, I was holding it flat in second gear, and it was just bouncing off the rev limiter at like 120. I was like, I was like, because it didn't have a rev tacho on it either. It just had a bloody speedo. So I'd popped it in the drive, and I was probably doing about 150. Bad idea when I'm blacking out at the wheel. The whole way into the ferry, I got to the ferry, got on the ferry, waved to me dad. I hopped down and said to dad, like, Dad, I don't feel right. I feel my heart's pounding. I just smoked weed. I think I need to go to the hospital. And he was sort of like, okay, just breathe, just calm down a bit. You might just be having a bit of a panic attack. And like, I was just saying to him, I said, no, I've had panic attacks before. This ain't no panic attack. This is something severe. So, and then when he sort of saw that I was worried and I was scared, he was like, okay, and he called up my sister for me, which was in town with her boyfriend at the time. And they came down to the ferry. I parked my car near the ferry. They picked me up and took me to the doctors, and like I could physically tell that they were worried because, I even said to them, I was like, I'm not feeling great. You need to try and be a bit quick, which you should never rush because then they're speeding and then putting other people at danger, and that's not a good idea. Just hold that thought. Yeah. So as it was taking me to the hospital, I said, I think it was spiked. I think this weed was spiked with something because, I've never felt like that. And I was like, weed doesn't do this shit to people. I was like, every time, although I used to get panic attacks and stuff, but, weed doesn't necessarily do that, put you into that state. That's why I was like, there's got to be another drug in here. There's got to be, I don't know, speed or something that they've laced it with. And so I got to the hospital and I quickly shot out, and I walked towards it because this was at like by the time I came into town it was probably 7. By the time I got there, 7, so I had to buzz on the door. I buzzed on the door, and they were like, "Yes, what's your problem?" or something like I can't remember what they said, but I was like, "I've smoked some weed, and I think it might have been spiked because I don't feel good." And they were like, okay, sort of like, okay, come in. And they let me through, and I went to the front office, and they're like, so what's wrong? I said, my heart is racing, like I don't feel well. I keep sort of blacking out, and I feel like, my heart's like there's a problem. And the nurse there, which I can't really put anything bad on the nurse, but it was sort of a bit uncalled for. She just sort of laughed and went, okay, honey, sort of like, oh, whatever, like, you're probably just having a panic attack. And she sort of made me, she belittled me a lot. And obviously at the time I didn't care. I was just like, get me in the room and just watch me, please. Make it better. So they bring me over to this little room that they do your stitches and stuff in. It wasn't like a room by myself. It was in like a big, I don't know, like a big room with multiple chairs and stuff. And this is where it sort of gets a little bit hazy. So if I miss some details, I apologize. But, I was high as and my heart rate was up there. And I sort of remember going over, sitting down and laying in a chair, and they're like, oh, we're just going to hook you up to a heart rate monitor, just to be sure. And they hooked me up. They put all these things on. I took my top off, and they were sort of looking at the heart rate monitor, and they were sort of like, I was like, I could sort of see in their eyes, they were sort of like, okay, well that was probably a little bit worse than what we expected. And then, I sort of said to them, I said, what do you think's wrong? And there was a nice young nurse there. She was real nice. And she said, oh, we think it could just be a panic attack. And then they sort of just hooked me up. And I think, no, it wasn't then, but they just sort of hooked me up and just left me for a bit, left me to sort of just lay there. And I wasn't feeling any better. Not at any point was I feeling better. So I laid there, and I was like, and then they came back in with the doctor. It sort of gets very hazy from here because this is when the interesting shit happened. And they sort of said to me, it looks like there could be something wrong, but it doesn't look very major at the moment. So, we're just going to keep you in here for a bit, see if your heart rate goes down. And my heart rate was I remember it doing 195. It was a solid 195, 200, 190 around that rate. And I remember them sort of saying, like, if your heart rate goes a bit above 200, that's when it's like, it's severe. It's holy crap. It's dangerous, very dangerous. So, they were sort of just keeping an eye on me, and when they seen that, even when they tried to calm me down and stuff, nothing was happening. So they were sort of like, crap, okay. And then they called in another doctor. I'm not really sure what happened behind the scenes because I was laying there sort of like real uncomfortable because of my chair sort of moving around like it was not fun. And then the doctor too. This is when I realized it was more serious than what I thought, like even more. I had 2 doctors and 4 nurses there just for me. And I sort of remember them saying to me, like, it looks like you could be in a SVT. And he sort of explained it at the time, but it just went straight over my head. And what an SVT is why I got me notes. So an SVT is a supraventricular tachycardia. It is a rapid heartbeat that develops when the normal electrical impulses of the heart are disrupted. So virtually my heart rate was peaking at about 190, 195, but it also had a, what do they call it? A arrhythmia as well. So it was misbeating. It wasn't like boom, 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 boom. It was like boom, 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 boom. Like it was misbeating. It wasn't beating in a proper rhythm. It was sort of going spiking. It was sort of all over the place. And I think that's when they realized when there was 2 in there and the nurses, they were like, okay, this is, we need to try and get his heart into check. So then the younger doctor sort of came up to me. Just before that, there was 2 doctors. There was a younger one, real nice, and an older one. He was nice, but he was a bit of a smart ass. And I sort of, at the time, I really didn't appreciate it. I was like, okay, you can give me shit after. I understand I fucked up, but I didn't know this was going to happen. He was like, oh yeah, you're allergic to weed. Yeah, you're allergic to weed. You never be able to do it again. And like he was sort of being same thing. He was belittling me, and I was like, come on, man, that's sort of really uncalled for. I just wanted help. I come in here because I needed help. I didn't feel right. I was scared, and I was sort of like that young doctor was being nice as. He was saying to me like, you okay, mate? We'll get you better. Don't stress. And, I was scared. I'm talking, I thought I was going to die. Like I remember saying to one of the bloody nurses, I was just like, please, I don't want to die yet, please. And then she said, it's okay. It's okay. You're not going to die. We think you could just be in a panic attack. That was before they told me it was a SVT. But then I found out it was, and shit got a bit serious from there. So the doctor sort of went away, and I think they had a bit of a chat, and the young one came back and he said, so we are going to have to inject some stuff that will put your heart back in a rhythm, because right now you're in SVT, your heart's beating really fast and it's misbeating. So I was like, okay. And he said, don't be scared about the feeling that the feeling that you'll get from this. And sort of at the time, I'm not great with needles. Like when someone like when I get a needle, I have to sort of just look away. But I was out of it. I was just staring right at the needle, and they just put it right in, and I remember blood squirting, and I was like, it didn't even faze me, and they started flushing me out with water. So it was just an IV bag. They started to flush me out with water, and then the doctor came back and he said, we're going to have to inject you with some stuff. It's called adenosine. I'll explain what it is after. So what happened? He said, we're going to have to inject you with this. It's going to feel really weird. You're going to feel, really, really weird. So just don't worry about it. Just relax and just let it happen. And I didn't think much of it. I was like, oh yeah, okay, it's just going to be like, oh, what the fuck? And then the first time they shot me up with the minimal dose, and I just sort of felt like a weird, like something real thick. Something real thick went through my vein, and I was like, oh, and then my chest felt a little bit weird for a second there, just like it was getting pushed out a little bit, and then it went away, and I was like, was like, huh, okay. And the doctor was sort of like, okay, so we'll have to do a bigger dose. So they did the next dose up, and then it was just that feeling a little bit worse. It was really uncomfortable. It was like someone was standing on my chest at the same time a balloon was getting pumped up. So I was like, I just wanted to stretch my chest out, and then that sort of went away, and then he had to do the maximum dosage that they were allowed to do, which was like it was 2 syringes, I think. Like I think he had like I think, don't quote me on this, but I think he had like a special thing, like a double thing where you inject two at once. But anyway, he's like, so we're gonna have to do the maximum dose. So they did them. They put the thing in, injected the needles, and that felt different. I could feel it. I felt like this thick, like I could feel it traveling up through my arm, past my shoulder, and into my heart. And then I was like, and all it felt like was it was the same thing. Someone was standing on my chest, but at the same time, it felt like my chest was like someone had a balloon in my chest and was just pumping it up and pumping it up and pumping it up. And I was like, I was trying to get it to go away, and then it was just like, and then it just went away. It was like it just went up and up and up, and the only way I can explain it is it felt like someone just let go of a balloon, and it was like, and it felt like it just went down, and I remember my chest just going down, and I was like, and I sort of remember just feeling really, really weird, really like lethargic, and then I just remember this numbness. This numb. So it started from my toes, and it was completely numb instantly. Like it was weird. And one of probably the queerest feelings that I can explain is you don't realize it, but right now you can feel the blood going through your veins, but you can't in a way. Like you don't realize it until you've had the blood stop in your veins, and then it's like you just. It's just something that you will never realize or you won't feel until you've had that. But I actually felt when my chest went down and just before it went numb, I felt the blood stop in my body. It was like because you know how your heart pumps. It was like boom, 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 and then just stopped. Like I could actually feel the blood stopping in my veins, and that was weird because it was all over my body. I could feel that all over my body, like it was going around and just stopping. And then I sort of like was like just laid down, and I was like, oh. And I remember just sort of breathing out a bit, and then after that feeling the blood stopping, I remember yeah, each time I talk about when I talk about this in detail, it sort of gets me a little bit like gets my heart racing a bit. Because it was an experience. Bit more beer. So where was I? Oh yeah, the numbness. So the numbness went from feeling all my extremities, everything, to straight away feeling like, when you lay on your arm and like during your sleep and you wake up and you don't feel it from there down, like it's just numb. You can't move it. You can't feel it. That it went from feeling my whole body to that it started from my toes and just went up like a wave. And I obviously had my hands alongside, so it just went up like, oh God. So it just went up. It just sort of, I was laying like this. I don't know if you can see very well, but it just came up in like a wave. And then as it got to my neck, like that's when I sort of breathed out. I was sort of like like that, like what they do in the movies, that's exactly what I did. I went like just breathed out, and it just went straight, and then it just went up, and then of course I just went limp. I went, and because the heart rate monitor was on that side, I just went like, and I remember the whole thing. I remember I didn't black out, didn't go unconscious. I remember just going like, and I remember just seeing and hearing because I couldn't. So I'm a bit all over the place. I remember seeing and hearing the monitor go beep 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 beep, loud beep, and that flat line. And I remember just looking at it the whole time it happened, and it felt like that went on for forever. Like that felt like a long time that happened, and it was weird because I after all that happened and I was just went limp. When that was happening, when I physically seen my heart rate go flat, I couldn't react. I remember it. Remember it like I remember the whole thing. I was completely conscious and I remember, but I couldn't react. I couldn't think. I didn't feel anything. I didn't think anything. Like I was just blank. When I looked, I wasn't scared. I wasn't in pain. I wasn't happy. I wasn't sad. I wasn't anything. It was just like down. I was just watching it happen, just like I was blank, completely blank. I could just see and remember now what was going on, but I couldn't feel anything. And that was weird because you don't notice it until something like that happens. Like your brain's always thinking, you're always thinking about something, but it was totally blank. I'm talking no emotions, no feelings, no. I was conscious, but in a way I almost wasn't because I couldn't react. I had no feelings. I couldn't feel anything. It was nothing. It was like I was nothing, but I could see and hear. Like it was weird. It was extremely queer feeling. Like, it'll be a thing that I'll never ever forget. And I can usually tell this whole story detail by detail without notes. I just got notes to make sure that, I know all the details and stuff, like the adenosine and the supraventricular tachycardia, and stuff like that. But after that, I don't know how long it was for. I think he said 10, I don't know. It was a few seconds, like 5 to 10, maybe. I'm not 100% sure. But I remember it happening, and then I just remember seeing my heart rate go dip, 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 dip. And it sort of took a second or two after my heart rate was gone for a while. And then, like, I just up. Like, it was so involuntary. Like, it was just like the first thing I did was just taking a big breath. As soon as I came to again, it was just the first thing that I did. I just came to, and my head sort of, came up, and it sort of I was really dazed, really confused, and I didn't even sort of acknowledge what happened when I came to. It sort of took me a couple seconds, like of deep breathing, like like whoa, like sort of what the hell happened, and it took me like at least probably half a minute to come to and be normal. Like, oh, okay. I was like weird feeling, and like that was a weird feeling. Just the first thing, just like massive breath of air, like exactly what they do in the movies. They have it pretty damn right in the movies when it comes to some stuff. But after that, like that stuff, what that's meant to do is it's like a substitute for shock therapy. You know how sometimes you've seen the movies where their heart's misbeating and they've got to give them shock to put it back to normal. It's kind of a substitute for that because it stops your heart and it's meant to put it back in a rhythm and normal beating procedure, but it didn't. It didn't work on me. My heart rate went from 190 to 0 back up to 190. So it was like putting your foot flat, nothing, putting your foot flat again. It was I had a hell of a time, and then after that, they were sort of like, they couldn't do anything. They said, you're just going to have to, that was meant to do this, but it didn't. So you're just going to have to relax. We're going to, give you some morphine. We're flushing your system out from the drugs with the water. And they sort of went, we're going to send you down to Adelaide on a plane to see a heart specialist. And so I was sort of like, okay, sweet, like, all right. And then like I remember one of the other ladies sort of came over and got me to sign some stuff saying that I am who I am and I don't know, all this other stuff. And I sort of, because I was so out of it and still panicking, I was really panicky at the time still. I was like, oh, I don't think I can, because I was like shaking like this, I was holding my hand steady. I was like that because of how hard and how nervous I was and how hard my heart was beating. And so I was like, oh, I don't think I can. And then that same lady, she was like, come on, just sign it for God's sake. If you don't sign that, we are not going to be able to, well, yeah. I can't really remember. I think that was actually before all that SVT, all the shooting up with me happened, I think. Yeah, that would have been before. But it was sort of like, it was the same thing. It was sort of a bit uncalled for. And I was sort of thinking in my head, like, come on, like I'm not in a great place at the moment. So just give me 5 or 10 or 20. Turns out I needed 2 days. But yeah, anyway, after they'd been shooting me up with the morphine and they shot me up with the adenosine, I just sort of laid on the little bed for a while, and I just sort of, I didn't really relax. I wasn't able to relax at all. But whilst they were shooting me up with the water, like, because it was just flowing straight through me, I could feel it. I was cold. Like it was cold. It was during the winter, and I was cold as, man. I was like, I needed a blanket and I needed a piss. And I don't know if you've ever tried to piss in them shoe things. They're like a big shoe whilst you're laying down. Nearly impossible. Like I couldn't do it. I said to the lady, I'm going to have to stand up. She said, we would prefer you if you didn't. I said, I can't piss whilst laying down. So I had to stand up, piss in this thing. I feel that, like, it was a big boot, man, like that big, probably that tall. And it goes like boot, like that. And I filled it right up, like right to the brim. And she emptied it, and I was like, oh, much better. And then, as they were shooting me up with the morphine, I was getting a bit tired. I was definitely getting a bit tired, sort of, So they took me into a room by myself, and I just put the TV on. And my dad ended up coming in after he finished work, and he just sat there with me for a while, just talking, and just, I was just to calm me down and give me company, because, obviously I was pretty damn scared. More beer. But yeah, even they were shooting me up with slow release morphine whilst it was happening. So I was slowly getting a bit lethargic, a bit tired, even though, like, this is probably 3 hours later, and my heart rate was still up at about 160. So I was getting tired, man. Like, it's exhausting. Having your heart rate up for, an extended amount of time is tiring as fuck. So, I think I did end up going to sleep. It was very hazy because with the morphine, I was pretty out of it and stuff. So, but, I just remember sort of struggling to move, struggling to reach water. I was like, I was real heavy, struggling, trying to get the water. I was like, ugh. I was tired. I was rooted. I felt crap. And I think I did get a couple hours sleep, because I remember sort of like, they were like, okay, come on, we're going to take you to the flying doctors now. And they took me out, and I was on this bed, and sort of, I was still feeling fucking like not good. Like my heart rate was still 150 by the morning, easily. And they took me out. They took me to the plane, and I had never been on a plane before in my entire life. Not once. So this was the worst thing that could have happened for me, to be on a plane for my first time, right? So they put me on the plane, and I was kind of excited. I was like, cool, I'm going on a plane. And when he took off, I was like, oh, these G-forces, and I was like panicking, and like my heart rate went from 150 to probably spiked to like 180 the majority of the trip. It was about a half-hour trip. And like, it was just spiked the whole time. And the lady was like, you feeling okay? Like, you sure? The little beeper was going off every now and then to sort of say like, hey, this bloke's fucked. Like, he's not good. And then like it was sort of a bit. There's not really anything to note in that flight. I was just I was pretty out of it still, and still panicky and high heart rate. They got me to Adelaide, took me in a thing. I went upstairs, got my own room, and then it was not as bad from there. Like from here on, it was it's probably a bit boring for you, but I was watching fucking SpongeBob for hours. I couldn't really sleep because my heart rate was still doing 140. They gave me this stuff to slow my heart rate down, and it eventually worked, and I got to sleep. And it turns out during the night, my heart rate got down to like 30. So like dangerously low. Because I remember that sleep that I had, I was like, I felt dead. I was out, and I was like, and then I remember her coming in, nurse coming in and going like, excuse me. I was like, excuse me. I was like, huh? I was like, yeah. And then I remember her saying, I'd rolled over and all my plugs came off and shit. And yeah, but and then because they were flushing me out with so much water, I ended up getting the runs, and like it was a terrible time. It was horrible time, an absolute terrible time. And I remember my cousin actually ended up calling me, and like I must have just been completely out of it because the phone was ringing right beside my head, and it probably rang about 40 times, and I was sort of laying there like what the hell's that noise? Like just sort of so out of it. And I remember the nurse coming in going, you do know that you've got a phone call? And I'm like, oh. And I picked up the phone, and he was like, hey mate, it's your cousin, blah, blah, blah. And I just remember going like sort of out of it. And I was like, what the hell? And I just put the phone down. And then like the next day I was like, holy crap, I hung up on him. But yeah, that was just another funny bit. And then I remember they said, it turns out that I've actually got an electrical problem, an electrical fault from my brain to my heart that can cause me to have SVTs relatively easily. So they said that it's highly recommended I stay away from stimulants. So like caffeine, excessive exercise. So I couldn't be a marathon runner, unfortunately, because that's what I was gonna do. Tobacco can cause it. Alcohol. Talking about that. And yeah, they sort of just said to me what was wrong, and I was like, okay. I was, I sort of didn't really know because I was tired. This was after I had the night up where I lived and the night down in the Adelaide hospital, and I sort of they let me go after telling me all of what I needed. Watch out for, and I don't have anything wrong. I had heaps of scans and stuff on my chest and on my heart to make sure nothing was wrong. And yeah, they let me go, and I just remember for the next few days I was rooted. I'm talking like it felt like I had been running for a week, and I was just like I couldn't do anything. I just got home and remember just laying there like I was exhausted. Like when your heart rate's upwards of like 140, 150 for probably, I don't know, 24 hours. No, it would have been about 36 hours. It roots you. I was bulgered, man, absolutely bulgered out of my fucking mind because it was tough. It was a scary experience. I won't ever touch drugs again. Never, because that was... Funny enough, that was actually the second scariest experience I've had in my entire life. And you'd think it'd be number one, having my freaking heart stopped and like dying sort of in a way, not really. But, you think that'd be the number one, but it's not. My number one is like, yeah, it's way worse than that one. Well, it was way worse as a personal experience for me. And yeah, I can go into that another time if you want to. If everybody wants to see it, if not, then it don't matter. But yeah, anyway, that was the time my heart stopped. But it is a long video. I apologise, but I didn't want to short out on any details because it was, it was an experience. And it's funny enough, I actually I don't necessarily regret the experience. I'm not happy it happened, but I wouldn't take it back, because it's an experience. It's something that has made me who I am now. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learnt that when your heart stops, it's a weird feeling. Wow, that's amazing, Gavin. Yeah, I hope when your heart stops, it's a weird feeling. Oh, ta-da! Yeah, that's pretty obvious, but yeah. Anyway, I've been sitting here for a long time. I've been sitting here for 40 minutes and I've drank that much. That's sad. So, I would like to make a bit of a toast. So, put whatever you're drinking or whatever you're eating up, and I want to toast to life. I want to say enjoy it, live it, be careful, live, love, laugh, all that stuff. Just nurture it, man, woman, everybody, because it can be gone like that. Like it almost was. Well, I don't know if it almost was, but it felt like it almost was. Just treasure every moment, make memories. Try and do stuff that you enjoy. So here's a toast to life. At least I got one beer down, except there's just a bit of piss in the bottom. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it. Like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching the video. I really appreciate every single one of you that has subscribed, watched my videos, liked them. Thank you to everybody. I understand I only have like 102 subscribers, but I appreciate the hell out of every single one of you. I appreciate the hell out of anyone that watches this, that comments, that likes. Thank you. I hope that this was a bit of a experience and a story that I could share and that you found interesting. God, I drank that beer, now I'm stuttering. So yeah, thank you very much for watching and see ya.